In Americana, a small-town kid thinks he's a reincarnation of Sitting Bull. A stolen Lakota ghost shirt sparks murder, and before you know it, sex cults, gunfights, and Sydney Sweeney singing Dolly Parton. If that sounds like a Coen Brothers fever dream, well, buckle in because things get weird. And later in this review, we'll talk about how this movie goes from oh wow to oh no real quick. Hey everyone, I'm Wes from Atomic Cult Media, where we dive into movies that range from cult classics to brand new fever dreams like Americana. If you've been here before, you know I'm probably going to make at least 3 bad jokes before I'm done. So Americana opens like it's about to be a straight Tarantino knockoff. I was ready for quirky dialogue and stylized violence. But instead, it feels way closer to a lost Coen Brothers script. The kind that ends up in a drawer labeled, maybe too weird. We've got Cal Starr, this kid who introduces himself to everyone as Sitting Bull reincarnated, and somehow it kind of works, and it's kind of my favorite part of the story. It's both like sort of funny and unsettling, and his interaction with Ghost Eye, played by Zahn McClarnon, adds to this dry, absurdist humor. But then this movie veers into chapter 4, and suddenly we're knee-deep into polygamist sex trafficking. That's the cinematic equivalent of changing lanes without a turn signal. And into incoming traffic. I'll explain later, but trust me, the momentum just stops right there. You have Sydney Sweeney as Penny Jo Poplin, a stuttering waitress with Nashville dreams. Against type for Sweeney, but she delivers. It's vulnerable, awkward, and feels kind of lived in. Paul Walter Hauser is Lefty Ledbetter. He's on a hot streak, Paul Walter Hauser, and here he grounds the chaos with his raw authenticity. His chemistry with Sweeney keeps the story kind of human. And then you got Halsey as Mandy Starr, troubled mother caught between survival and ruin. Halsey's acting chops are solid, but the script gives her way less build-up than her character deserves. And you got Zahn McClarnon. I always enjoy seeing him in this as a Ghost Eye, a Marxist radical leading militant Native American group. Zahn is always magnetic in everything he's in, and here he walks the line between darkly funny and tragic. And you have Simon Rex as Roy Lee Dean. He's an antiques dealer with greasy charm. Honestly, Rex feels like he wandered in from Red Rocket and never left. And it's directed by Tony Tost. This is his feature debut. He clearly wants to blend Western grit with Americana mythology and Coen-esque dark humor. But maybe he bit off a little bit more than he could chew with this. So the ghost shirt isn't just a MacGuffin, it's a reference to real Lakota spiritual traditions, adding weight to the satire about stolen culture being pawned for cash. And Cal's reincarnation gag echoes a Coen Brothers style absurdist joke that also digs into how America mythologizes Native identity. And it leans into that Western aesthetic. This compound showdown at the end has obvious nods to Western tropes like arrows versus rifles, the standoff in the dark, even a wink to the Wild Bunch. And the themes of this, it's heritage versus exploitation. About how American dreams, whether fame, money, or identity, get commodified. The movie doesn't always stick the landing, but the bones are there. Now, the good I liked about it. The first third really hooked me. It felt more Coen Brothers than Tarantino light. It doesn't tell you much, but it does a good job like feeding you crumbs as it goes along, building these characters and the situation. And like I said before, Walter Hauser feels so authentic, and I think that's why he's like really popular right now. He just feels authentic in everything he's in. And I just felt drawn to him in this movie and his character. And Sydney Sweeney, she surprises with the subtle, heartfelt performance. Against type, she's not the sexy blonde. She's sexy anyway, but it's just a very vulnerable performance. And I really did enjoy the narrative for almost halfway through the film. It's like lost, but piecing it together sort of storytelling. I found it really intriguing, and it really drew me in. Cal's reincarnation bit is like one of my favorite parts. I just think it's funny. He keeps repeating the same line to everybody, and he's like super serious about it. That combined with Cal and Ghost Eye's banter, I think it's comedy gold. I really enjoyed those scenes, some of my favorite scenes in a movie. But it gets to chapter 4, that's around the halfway point, and I think it just like destroys the momentum this film has built. Halsey's character suddenly takes center stage, but there's not much setup with her before that. So now she's the main character like halfway through this movie, and it's like her backstory with this polygamist sex trafficking sort of cult. I don't know. It just felt weird. It just felt like a hard stop on this part of the story, and with this character that we barely knew. I didn't care for it. Her character just wasn't set up enough for me to really care. And Halsey, as a musical artist, she gives a strong performance. I just think her character writing was just very weak when it came to this film. It's definitely one of those movies that tries to emulate sort of something like the Coen Brothers, but it doesn't measure up to it. So overall, I'm giving Americana 2.5 out of 5. This is the kind of movie you stumble on late night, HBO, enjoy in the moment, but forget about it in the morning. It starts strong and sputters midway and never really fully recovers. Still, points for ambition. And at least someone's out there trying to make a Coen Brothers style film while the Coens are making Netflix dramas about Shakespeare or whatever, and then these other crime movies that are apparently bad. If you want a recommendation for a movie that's sort of like this, that I liked better, I suggest checking out The Last Stop in Yuma County. I really enjoyed that film. Great 90s Tarantino ripoff that's actually really surprising. But what did you think of Americana? Are there any films made recently that are kind of like this vibe that you could recommend me? You could click here for my other movie reviews and click here to subscribe. And I will see you later. Bye.